To start living the life you deserve, I'd like to invite you to my 5-day Keyboard Rich Challenge. Over 5 days, an hour and a half.
The most important decision that you'll make in Throne and Liberty is what class you play and what build you decide to pursue. Now, before I lose you, I want you to know that if you're brand new to Throne and Liberty, you are going to want to hear what's in this video and the information I'm about to share, because it's extremely important when it comes to those two things: choosing your weapons, and more importantly, choosing your build. And my goal is to just get you to understand the system, because in Throne and Liberty, you are your build. This isn't like Lost Ark or BDO where, you play a striker or a warrior or berserker and everyone pretty much gears it the same way and plays it the same way, and it's just a matter of who can play each
guys, pay
class
close
better.
attention, learn a thing
In
or
Throne
two
and
here from
Liberty,
Canon.
regardless of what weapon class you use, you will eventually choose a build, and that build will define you. There is no single best build for all weapons. There isn't. Throne and Liberty is very much a rock, paper, scissors system, very much a pick your poison system. There are going to be things that you're strong to. There are going to be things that you're weak to. You have to give up something to gain something else. I'm going to try my best to give you an entry-level understanding to these systems so that when you get into the game, you'll have a better idea as to what you're trying to pursue with your gear. And this is going to apply to pretty much everything, because I assure you, when you start for the first time, right out the gate, you're going to have a lot of different options to choose from, and you will 100% ask, assuming you're new to the game, which one should I go for? Is this that good? Is that good? I don't know. I'm just going to pick a random one. And believe me when I say, especially when you start pushing that end game, you are going to want to have a build chosen, because it is very punishing, especially for free-to-play players, if you choose the wrong build. Also, keep in mind that content and progression is gated in this game. This isn't like BDO where you can just farm infinitely. So you will have a limited number of progression mats that you can even use. So whether or not you're a whale or free-to-play, it will be very costly, time-consuming for you to switch builds or to fix your build. Hopefully this video will prevent you from doing so. Now, before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. I'm getting really close to 100K subs. Just hit that button. It's completely free, especially if you found this helpful. 100K has been a huge milestone of mine, and I would really, really appreciate your guys' support on this. Also, come follow me on Twitch. I'm streaming a lot of Throne pretty much every day to and through the launch of the game, and that's pretty much it. Let's get started. All right, guys, so we are going to be going over this site, and we're going to be using this site to help us, or help me to help you understand how this system works. So on this page, we have our stat points right here. Like I said, we're not going to go over all of these. These are my equipment pieces, and these are my attributes. Now, before we get into this, I want to pull up this little document right here. This is relative to these stats right here. You can see there's a lot of stats, but I'm just going to kind of break this down and go over some key stats so that you guys can better understand the system. And honestly, if you just understand these key stats, then you're off to a pretty good start, and you can learn the rest of the stuff later. Okay, so we have what's called crit and crit damage. That's pretty straightforward. Everyone knows what that is. But in addition to crit and crit damage, you have something called endurance and crit damage reduction. Obviously, crit damage reduction reduces crit damage. It is the counter to crit damage. If I have 10% crit damage and you have 10% crit damage reduction, those two offset, that's a net zero. Pretty straightforward, right? Endurance is essentially that for critical hits. Endurance will lower the amount of crit. Okay, it is the counter to crit. Then you have something called heavy attack. Heavy attack is in ×2 damage. Okay, some of you guys might be thinking, well, isn't that crit? Again, I'm not going to go into too many details, but yeah, pretty much. So if I hit you for 10K, heavy attack is going to hit you for 20K. So you can kind of think of it as a double crit in a way. Heavy attack evasion, as you may guess, is the counter to heavy attack. Next, we have hit and we have evasion. Same thing. Hit allows me to land skills on you, and evasion allows me to dodge your skills. And when I say dodge, I mean literally dodge everything. The CC doesn't go through, the damage doesn't go through, nothing goes through. It's like you completely whiff. Next, you have CC chance. Now, when it comes to the CCs, there's a lot of specific types of CCs, and they all act as their own individual stat. So stun is its own stat. Stun resist would be its own stat. Collision, which would be like a knockback or a float in the air. Collision also has a counter, which is collision resist. So there's a bunch of different types of CCs, each one having their own resist that you can build for or against. Now down here, these are pretty much the rest of the significant stats that you have. You have your basic attack speed, range, shield block pen, and some of these obviously have counters, like shield block pen is the counter to block rate. Bonus damage, skill damage, then you've got skill damage resist. So you've got a lot of these other stats that are in the game, and some of these stats are more significant to certain weapons than others. But for the most part, again, forget about all this for a second. Just know, especially out the gate, crit, endurance, hit, evasion. These are pretty much the two big ones that you want to go for. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, you cannot get everything. Now, before we actually showcase a few of these builds and how they kind of come together, I want to pull up this diagram right here. Sorry for the flashbang. Now, in Throne and Liberty, if I bring up this right here, you're going to know these stats right here. You're going to notice, for example, ranged evasion 1000. I have, with this build, I have 1227 ranged evasion. Well, what does that mean? I don't see a percentage there. Ken, you're sharing percentages. I was sharing percentages because those numbers have percentages tied to them. Okay, so that's what this is. So if we take a look at this chart, if I have 100 of a stat, that gives me a 9% chance, whatever that may be. If I have 500, that gives me a 33% chance. So if I have 500 crit, that gives me a 33% chance to crit. If I have 500 endurance, then that is going to reduce the target's crit that hits me. So if you have 500 crit and I have 500 endurance, I essentially negate your 500 and you have 0 crit against me. That's how endurance works. And the same with hit and evasion. If you have 1500 evasion, which would be 60%, and I have 1000 hit, which is 500 less than you, that's a net difference of 500 evasion that you have on me. 500 evasion would be a 33% chance for you to land your attack, which means you're going to land 2 out of 3. You're going to miss 1 out of 3 of your attacks. Now, we talked about in the beginning of the video that you have to pick your poison. You can't have a god tier build. You're going to have to give up something, whether that's offense, whether that's defense to a specific type of attack, whatever that may be. You have to give up something and you have to build towards something. Now, let me show you how all of this kind of ties into actual builds. I've got my Greatsword Dagger build up here. Now, Greatsword Dagger is a class that is designed around 2 main principles. Number 1, primary rule number 1, assassinate single targets. Get in, blow them up, 1-shot them, 2-shot them, get out. Number 2, in the end game, if you have the gear for it, you can set up big AoE nukes, and you could also provide an AoE nuke depending on your group and your gear for your team. This is why Greatsword Dagger in particular has a lot more value at the end game in KR, in group scale PvP, and large scale PvP GVGs, and in the early game they're a little bit more smaller scale focused and not super amazing in large scale. Now, this is my main build on KR, and I've chosen the 10th Despair Blade right here. This is going to allow me to have an AoE puddle that explodes, that deals a lot of damage every time I CC a target. And then this blade, this dagger right here, allows me to go back into stealth every time I kill a target, assuming I kill the target within 5 seconds of coming out of stealth. This is the best combination right now in KR, or the strongest combination in KR right now. And of course, there are different variations of this build, but the build that I'm going for, if we look at the stats right here, I want you to notice I have 47% attack speed. I have 481 heavy attack chance. I have 1500, almost 1500 melee crit. By the way, I am going off of base sheet numbers. Some of these numbers change depending on the weapon that you have out, your masteries, your passives, but just to make it a little bit more digestible, easy to follow for you guys that are brand new, I'm just gonna go based off of what's written here, so I don't confuse you. Otherwise, I would actually go off of their real figures. For example, the real figure of the heavy attack chance is actually higher than this, but what's on paper is 481. And then I have 2100 hit right here, melee. I am a melee. And my defensives, I have 2600, almost 2600 melee evasion. I have 1200 range evasion, and I have 367 magic evasion. Now, even if you don't understand numbers or how significant these numbers are, like the scaling and the formula, it doesn't take a genius to recognize, okay, 2600, 1200, 367. What am I strong against? What am I weak against? I'm strong. I can defend against melee quite well. I'm going to evade a lot of their attacks. Ranged evasion, I'm pretty sturdy against range. And magic evasion, that is my weakness. That is my poison. I'm going to be weak towards poison. Now, why did I choose, or excuse me, I said poison, weak towards magic. I apologize. I'm weak towards magic. Now, why did I choose magic to be weak to? Well, there are a few different reasons. There's a reason when it comes to playstyle and the abilities that I use. But more importantly, this build that I'm using the Wraith set for this. If you look at the Wraith set, I have a 4-piece bonus that gives me an additional 240 heavy attack that is not reflected here, which means this gives me realistically over somewhere between 700 to 800 heavy attack, and that's before the buffs. And after the buffs, I will be around roughly 1,000 melee heavy attack chance, which is very significant because remember, a heavy attack chance gives me a chance to just double my damage, which is a massive nuke, which synergizes well with this playstyle. Now, the reason why I've chosen magic to be weak to is, well, if you look at the traits that are available for this type of armor set, I can take melee evasion, ranged evasion, melee endurance, ranged endurance. I could also take obviously health and debuff duration. We're not going to really talk about those. HP kind of goes out without saying, but you're not going to see any magic traits on this piece of gear. If you're a range, if you're a bow class and you're going for an armor set that pushes you towards damage, range damage with your bow, those stats or those sets, the leather sets, you're going to notice don't have any melee defensive. You're going to have options for ranged and magic in leather. So what would a bow user be weak to? Typically they would be weak to melee. You see where this rock, paper, scissors, pick your poison thing is kind of coming out. Now, there are a lot of different gear sets that you can take, but again, you have to give something for something. So let me give you a point of reference here and show you a completely different build. So let's compare it to this build. This is an evasion build. Now, just so you know, I wouldn't really follow this build. I've just put this build together and stacked evasion for the purpose of this video so you guys can have a point of reference. This build specializes in evasion. So if we look at the evasion stats right here, you're going to notice 2,000 melee evasion, 1,800 ranged evasion, and 1,900 magic evasion. Now, just so you know, if you're running a dagger class, you're going to have an extra 700, 690 to be exact, 700 ranged and magic evasion. So if you add 700 magic and ranged evasion to this, you're at like 2,500 plus ranged and magic evasion. This is going to make you a lot tankier towards ranged classes. This would be a huge value in a large scale PvP. And you've kind of got the bare minimum with melee evasion. The greatsword users, for example, that are at like 1,500 or less hit, you're going to be relatively strong against them. But the people that play for hit, stack hit, they're going to be able to ignore pretty much all this evasion and hit you. Now, what are these defensives at the cost of? Well, number one, you're not taking Wraith. So what does that mean? That means your melee heavy attack chance is going to be lower. Even though this shows 415, I'm losing another 240 because I'm not in my Wraith set. And another thing I'm losing out on is attack speed. The difference between 33% attack speed versus 47% attack speed is significant. When I gap close on a target as a greatsword dagger, I am going to CC him and I'm going to try and blow him up. If it takes me long to actually do that, I can get interrupted, I can get peeled. Attack speed is really, really important. So this evasion build, what is it lacking? It's lacking damage in comparison to the first build. It's lacking a little bit of melee evasion. It's a little bit weaker to melee compared to the other build. And I'm certainly lacking attack speed, which is the big one. Now let's look at this other attack speed build right here. Again, another build that I wouldn't really pay too much attention to. I've created this build for the purpose of this video. Now this has gone 63% full sending at attack speed. I'm going to be lightning fast. I'm going to be super, super quick. But what is this at the cost of? Well, same thing. I'm kind of diminishing my 2 times proc with heavy attack a little bit by not going Wraith, and I'm losing a lot of hit with this build. This is a 1,400 hit build. Anyone that's running 2,000 melee evasion or higher, I'm just not going to be able to hit them. And of course, my defensives with this build is pretty decent, but bad against melee. Melee is going to lock me down. I have no melee evasion rather, but ranged evasion and magic evasion, not bad. So what would this build be potentially good towards? This build could be potentially good towards large scale PvP, where you're kind of taking a lot of heat and a lot of sustained damage from ranged and magic attacks, and you want to get in there, quickly burst and come out, because your job as a greatsword dagger would be to target and execute squishies anyways, and you can make a case saying that your attack and your damage is enough to execute, especially with this attack speed. Your damage will be enough to execute some of those squishies that you're targeting anyway, and you know, you're just in and out in that regard. So there is no right answer. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just very much a playstyle thing. Pick your poison. And I wanted to showcase this to you guys so you guys have a better understanding. There is no, these are completely different gear pieces, by the way. The item sets are completely different. 100%. And the traits are also completely different. So you can imagine if you choose a specific build and you decide to go a different direction, you kind of have to start completely over. And that would be very bad, especially if you're free to play. Even if you're pay to win, that would be really bad. Now, if you're wondering why I'm personally running this build, here's why. I'm running this build because my job as a greatsword dagger in the end game is to do two things. Number one, execute targets. And number two, set up big AoE bombs, since I've got double Tevant for my group. I want to deal a lot of damage. I want a lot of heavy attack. I have it. I need to be fast enough. I've got the attack speed here. My crit is enough. I've got 1400. And I want to hit targets. In the current KR endgame, a lot of people are running evasion, and having 2100 hit, which is a little bit more, I get another like 100 hit or so because it's actually with greatsword. As you can see, if I swap this, I actually have 2200 hit. Having this amount of hit will allow me to hit almost everyone, right? And this evasion right here, it's great that I have 2600 evasion. This makes me, I would say this build is probably close to BIS when it comes to arena, by the way. Large scale, you could certainly argue that there are definitely better options, but this is all around just a very good build. In large scale, this is very good. In arena, it's certainly at the top versus some of these other, but like if you're running a greatsword dagger build that doesn't have any melee evasion in the arena, it'll be a lot tougher considering how many greatswords are in the arena. So I wanted to make a build that would kind of allow me to do all content really well, and having enough melee evasion is a huge plus because it synergizes with Wraith. Wraith synergizes with melee evasion. The accessory options that you have give you melee evasion, which, by the way, I actually have two variations of this build. If I swap out my cloak here for a melee evasion, ranged evasion cloak, I actually bump up my melee and range evasion up like 100 to 200 points at the cost of a little bit of damage and a little bit of hit, which I would absolutely do in arena PvP. But in large scale PvP, I would rather have that extra hit, rather have that extra damage, because like something like melee evasion is having like 2600 melee evasion is more than enough for large scale. Ranged evasion, this is going to push me around like 2000 ranged evasion, which is going to give me roughly around anywhere from a 40 to 50% chance to dodge most range attacks. I think currently Bo is lacking a little bit when it comes to actual hit in the current KR endgame. So having 2000 is plenty enough for me to sustain in large scale, because my group in large scale organized PvP, I should have a healer. I have enough tankiness to sustain those attacks. And magic evasion, this is my weakness. You gotta pick a poison. I'm gonna get blown up to magic. I do have an active skill that I could use that will shield me from almost all magic attacks in a short window. I definitely live and die by that ability. That's part of the skill builds, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but this is hands down my weakness. Every class has a weakness. You just got to pick your poison. That's the way it goes. Now, the last thing I want to share with you guys in relation to my build are the attribute points. We didn't really talk about the attribute points here, but these attribute points are very important. Wraith gives me the correct attribute points. These accessories give me the correct attribute points because I want to hit 70 dex. When it comes to these stat points, the first thing you have to understand is when you reach a certain amount of, stat points, attributes. Let me be a little bit more consistent with my verbiage here. When it comes to the attribute points, when you hit a certain amount, so for example, if I have 30 points into dex, I will get 100 crit added to my character stat. Okay. If I get 40 dex, it unlocks the bonus damage plus 15. Now, these are really important because you can see when you get into the 60, 70 range, It's pretty significant. 70 gives me 120 evasion across the board. That's really good. 60 perception gives me 120 hits. That's a lot of hit. Strength at 50 is going to give me 50 heavy attack chance. Now, there are other things that these attribute points do. For example, 1 point of strength increases your max health by 15 or 20. I think it was 20, I believe. It increases your defenses. It also increases your attack by your base weapon damage by 1 versus Dex, which increases it by more. Dex and Wisdom increases it by more, which Dex also provides evasion. It provides attack speed. Perception provides you with hit for each attribute point that you put in. So all of this just pretty much ties into the bigger picture of what build are you running? How are you playing your class? What kind of greatsword dagger are you? What kind of bow dagger are you? What are you building for? What's your build's weakness? This is the reason why a lot of players actually don't give out their builds, because they don't want people knowing what they're weak against. With all that said, for me personally, all of this is the biggest appeal of Throne and Liberty for me. You know, this is the reason why I enjoy playing ARPGs. I just love the fact that everyone's different. There's so many different options. NCSoft continually adds more and more items to shake things up, to give you more options. There are so many good items in the game, and I absolutely love that. I've spent so many hours in this quest log. I have so many different builds, so many different variations, and at the end of the day, knowledge is power, right? But if all of this is overwhelming to you, you don't have to know all this stuff. All you need to know is, hey, what is your build? Can I copy it? And what are you strong to? What are you weak to? How do I play your build? That's pretty much what you're going to ask. Now, I would highly recommend getting a build from someone that is credible. Okay, because I assure you, if you play with a bad build, or if you put a build together yourself without knowing anything, right? It's not just the items. You also have to know how classes and how weapon sets actually play, right? This is just the gearing element. You start gearing towards a specific playstyle, and understanding weapons and what they provide and their playstyles will help you and aid you in selecting the right build for you. Right? So just make sure you select a build from a credible source. I would highly recommend using Questlog if you want to mess around with some items. If you need some extra help, feel free to come follow me on Twitch. Ask me any questions you need. But as far as this video goes, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry if this was a little bit kind of convoluted and messy, and hopefully we can edit it to make it seem a little bit more structured and less ranty. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
We're made of passion that makes us go all out or all in. A love so deep it takes over us, sort of tugs at us like the perfect chord. You see, passion is the engine of this story, our story. Abu Dhabi calendar, passion is the occasion.
There's that moment in work when there's too many tools and the spark fades. Not anymore. This is the intelligent canvas. Do in minutes what usually takes hours with AI that uses your ideas and content to create things like summaries and get you started on diagrams. Get an extra pair of eyes on your work with AI sidekicks. When you need feedback or ideas for next steps, take back time to focus on real work with AI-powered interactive workflows like journey mapping, research synthesis, and sprint planning, all integrated, all together, in one place. Innovation belongs on the canvas.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? This might be a little bit loud. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is our first time ever playing this game. So, we're gonna create a character. We gotta do the whole shebang. I'm glad you guys
Thank you guys for bearing in with me. We're almost wrapped up here.
Say to you,
with
by
Her
clicking on them,
Majesty's
you can talk to
we'll
them.
be starting
So sorry again before for we the get delay. going. Thank you
You
guys
can be
for
so
kind. Sticking with me here.
All right, guys. So we are going to be talking a little bit more about the traits
Some more
today.
facts
I
for
do
you
have a
from
video
Canon.
going over the
you guys
basics
are
of
learning
traits. I
from this.
think that video is called "I Just
Go check
Saved
them
You
out,
Thousands
CanonXO
of
on
Lucent."
Twitch.
I will go ahead and link that video in the description below. But in this video,
That's
we're going to
awesome.
be going a little bit more into detail, and you definitely need to know the information in this video because this will also save you thousands of Lucent. But before we begin, quick ad. One of the most frequent questions that I get asked when I'm playing an Asian MMO is, do you need a VPN for it? And the answer to that question is usually yes. You're wondering what VPN I have installed right now to access these blocked games, as well as access some websites that sometimes I'm blocked out of since I'm overseas a lot. I have Surfshark. The program is pretty damn easy to figure out, even if you've never used a VPN before, but more importantly, once you have the service, you can use it on any device on however many devices you want. And on top of that, you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're in the market for a VPN, or maybe you just want to try out that game, you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so why not? If you do sign up, be sure to use my code CanonXO at surfshark.com/CanonXO for an extra 4 months free. Links can be found in the description. All right, so let's talk about the traits. We've got this helmet, okay? And as you guys know, when you click on this, it brings up the trait menu. Now, first thing I want you guys to understand in this video are blessings. Blessing is essentially the pity system in Throne and Liberty. Let's go ahead and click this one. This is pretty blank. Now you're going to see that there is 8 blessing here. Every time I feed a green piece of gear, I'm going to have a 10% chance for this to succeed because it is one tier under blue. If I feed this in, as you can see, it's a 100% chance. This blessing system is obviously only applied to when you're upgrading a lower tier item into a higher tier item. Before I recorded this video, I clicked into I attempted one of these upgrades from green to blue and it failed and it gave me 8 blessing. If I use this blessing, right? If I use this 8 blessing, you can see it gives me an additional 8% chance to succeed. That will give me a total of an 18% chance for this to succeed. If I do not use the blessing, this is just a base 10% chance because it is 1 grade lower. So if I use it, I'm going to have an 18% chance, but if it fails or succeeds, I consume the blessing that was used. So I'm going to go ahead and just click this again, and this should give me 16 blessing. If it fails, it did. There it is. 16 blessing. If I were to use this blessing using another lower tier trait, as you can see, I now have a 16% chance for this to succeed. Okay, so now let's take a look at when you go from blue to purple gear. The tier that's under purple is blue. So if I put this in, as you can see, again, 10% chance to succeed. If I were to attempt a green, which is 2 levels below, I have a 1% chance to succeed. If I try to feed a blue into it, I have 0 blessing. This is blank. You're welcome. I spent all this Lucent on KRs to be able to show you this. Okay, that's going to fail. I'm going to have 40 blessing, and 40 blessing gives me an 8% chance. If I were to use a green with 40 blessing, this is going to give me a 4% chance. Let's go ahead and feed another blue in and not use the blessing. If this fails, this should go to 80 blessing. As you can see, if I were to use the blessing, I now have an extra 16% chance for this to succeed. That gives me a 26% chance for this to succeed, consuming the blessing. If I were to use a green with this blessing, I have half of that, 8% chance. The calculation is about 5 times. So pretty much if you're trying to figure out whether or not you should build blessings by feeding blue traits or green traits into your purple, the difference has to be greater than 5 times. I'm going to go ahead and click this again. I'm going to remove this. Okay, this should give us, oh, unless we get lucky, that went. Now I have the melee evasion trait and we get to keep the blessing. I'm actually glad that went. We got lucky. We got the trait. We get to keep the blessing. As you can see, 16% chance. Let's feed that baby in again. bam, failed 120. So that's pretty much how the blessing works. Okay, so this is very important to understand because blessing stacking is going to be very important if you want to try and min-max your efficiency when it comes to how much lucent you're actually spending. This will help you to better understand whether or not you should try to purchase green traits, blue traits, or purple traits when you're upgrading your gear, because now you know exactly how much blessing or pity percentage you're getting on each attempt. It's also written here on this menu, but it's a little bit confusing. Okay, so next we have transferring. When we transfer the blue piece into the purple piece or the green piece into the blue piece, what I've done is I've max traded this blue headpiece right here. And as you can see, I have 16 blessing on top of it. So I'll pull it up here. So this is max traded and I have an additional 16 blessing on top. I go back to my general piece here and I were to transfer this. This is just a level 1. Obviously the experience is going to transfer. So it's, you know, level 1 is just going to get 37% to the first level, but you can see I get 976 blessings for transferring this piece over. If we were to reduce the 16 blessing that is on the piece, that is 960 blessings that you are going to get. So let's go ahead and transfer this here. Now my piece, this General Fury headgear, this now has 1,096 blessing. If you're wondering why it wasn't 967, it's because we already had 120 blessing on the piece. So now when I go and trade this piece of gear out, I have this blessing to use. Let me show you. All right, so I went and bought some more traits for you guys. Now, if I were to upgrade using this, I have a 10% chance to go. If I use the blessing, it is going to consume all of the blessing that will take me to 100% that will secure this. So let's go ahead and click it. Let's see how much blessing this consumes. We use it. We go from 1,096 down to 646. That is a total of 450 blessings used in order to get a blue to a purple at 100%. A green would be double that. That would be 900, which is why it pretty much was going to consume almost all of my blessings. That's pretty much the whole system in a nutshell. The last bit of advice that I would like to give you guys is if you get a piece, a purple piece that has a shitty trait. For example, let's say you've got this Reaper's Black Mask and you've got ranged evasion 40 on this. Let's say you don't want ranged evasion 40. One thing that you can do to min-max your progression is you can start building fail stacks on this. Okay, so what I would do is I would take these helmets and I've got ranged evasion here. Let's just say ranged evasion is a very cheap trait because some of these traits are obviously really bad, like health regen, for example, right? So let's just pretend ranged evasion is bad and it's cheap. I can burn these traits because these traits are cheaper on the marketplace to build these fail stacks, to build the blessing up. That one just happened to go. If it goes, then it goes. I'll just continue to burn these into this to bring the blessings up. And then once I reach enough blessings, so 450 from blue to purple to get a 100% chance, I can go to the second trait. Let's say I have like critical hit trait here. I can purchase a cheap or a blue critical hit trait and then feed it into my purple piece by having a guarantee in burning that blessing. And then I can go back to the ranged evasion and restack that blessing again. That's probably the best advice that I have for you guys right now. I hope that made sense. I'm recording this super late night, so I do apologize if this wasn't well explained. I'm hoping that made sense. If you have any additional questions, just catch me on Twitch. I'm streaming almost every single day, nonstop right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did find this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.
I remember the days of ticket overload, putting out fires, systems not working. But then we discovered Atera. It has everything.
Remote monitoring and management, remote access, help desk and ticketing,
smart automations, patching, software deployment, scripting, not to mention, with predictive alerts, you solve real IT issues before they become IT problems.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of how awesome I am at fixing your computer.
And with advanced reporting and analytics, management can finally understand why I'm the real MVP. Now, maybe you're not buying this, and that's
All right,
fine.
what do you say we get
Because
rid
you
of
don't
this?
have to buy anything.
Get
You
rid
can
of
try
these
it out
fools
right
and
now
play
for
the
free.
game.
Set up as a breeze. Just hit the link and try the thing. It's cool.
Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for sticking around if you did. Appreciate you all hanging out with me. My apologies. Her Majesty is not feeling well, so we had to take care of business. Get everything situated. So I'm gonna lose my sweatshirt quick because I'm hot and we're gonna game. All right. Sitting down now. What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around if you did. If you did not, I really apologize. Starting the stream there, it's clear we were not quite ready, but I did not get that memo until it was too late. So if you listened into some of Cannon's stuff, good for you. He's a great resource. Go check him out, Cannon XO. On Twitch. He's on Twitch, YouTube. Great content all over the place. He's the guy that you want for this game, that's for sure. Okay. We were gonna farm. Try and finish this guild contract here, this start of the Abyss. We need to finish some of these up. All right. We are gonna cruise on down to Silas Abyss. All right, so we're SNS Wand right now. And it is real nice. Got half an hour to farm until nighttime. So let's see what we can get done here. Mass pull some of these side rooms. see how much we can take out here. I mean, I'm only floor 1. I'm doing this for the guild. I don't actually need floor 1. A little over. I'm even just over geared, over leveled. I don't even need the healing, but put it there anyway. This was an absolutely massive pull, but awesome. What's everybody up to tonight? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Glad to be here hanging out with you. Almost fell through the floor there. Let's see if we get a big pull going. Here. Time is 7 p.m. Not this time, little soldier. I gotta go check on my little amatoys. Here we go. Nice big pull. Don't knock me through the floor. Oh, didn't mean to click that. Oops. Down they go. What are we at now? Almost 70%. I'm at. We're not making progress on that as fast as I'd like to be, unfortunately. Oh man, it put me over here. Lame-o. Cornelius, huh? Third floor. Try that in an hour. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. minute cooldown. I hope that put us up 70%. Oh! Just go downstairs. Your full room pull. What I do for the guild. Cool. Each whole room pulls. Down. Saffron. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Happy Tuesday. We are farming for a guild contract, right? Needing more guild members to help me out. But time, just gonna get on my own. 72%. So many blocks. No, come back. Jump the gun a little bit. Almost 75%. It's pretty brutal, guys. I'm getting body blocked. I can't even get to the target I want to attack. I like spin in a circle so I could damage him. $75%. They just did their guild battles. Riftstones. We don't have enough members yet. Come on, Scorpos, US East, we need some more members. Ineffable order. Join up today. Death Soul Shard. Ooh. Blue drops. Set. Get him. Alright, should we bail out of here for the nighttime? I don't feel like dealing with these guys. %. This is a grind. Every 1%. Okay. Cool. Boom. Anybody else farming out there? Trying to keep this guild alive. Nighttime. This is now a PvP zone. %, nice, dude. Power farmers are in here after dark. Bing! Slammed his head into the wall. He looked at me. He didn't want any of it. He didn't want any of it. Okay, he's hitting me through the wall. That's actually hilarious. He's just gonna follow me around everywhere. He really is just chasing me around. That was mean. It's level 31, but I feel like some people just don't understand what's happening sometimes. Didn't even realize it's a PvP zone right now. Just I know I'm hard to kill. I wasted like 10 minutes of my farming time. Bouncing off the walls and stuff. There we go. Look at all that loot. 87%. Wish it was 97%. We're getting there. Come on. This is a good farming session. Eight. He's barking. I need to go outside. A full room respawned again. Nighttime farming in here. Pretty good, it seems. I didn't even realize the elite was here. Guys, I will be right back in a minute here. I gotta go let my dog out. I'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Tuesday. We are farming. BRB. All right, we are back. Just in time for the respawn. Love to see it. Whole room is here. Guys, what is up? Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing? Anybody else out there farming? %. There. Hopefully we can get this in the next couple minutes. So many things slamming on my shield. And it's daytime again. This was when we wanted to finish up this fight because I'd wanted to go do a world boss right now. %. So we'll be able to finish this up quick next time we come back here. I'm gonna port out, and we are gonna go to. Oh, we shouldn't have ported out. He's on the 3rd floor. Oh, that's a total my bad. I was in the right place for it. Ripperino. That was silly. Dang. Well, let's go do him. Guys, we are going to do Cornelius. World boss. Some people join up. What's up, JT? How do I like the game so far? I like it a lot. It's a nice change of pace for me. The world event focus is pretty cool, I think. Surprised more people aren't joining the party. Never gotten into MMOs? Yeah, they have a much different playstyle and feel. I like that this one is pretty PvP focused and it's world event focused. Downside is you have to get in a fairly big guild with a good alliance, but it's still a lot of fun. And the weapon combos and how they do skills and builds, it's really unique. So that's a lot of fun. It's the first time I've ever done this guy. I think this guy's new with the stage we're at here. That looked like it would have hurt. Ouch, that hurts. Party members are hurting. He died off in time. Just burning through my mana though. Oh, don't run near me. Ah, no. There's a lot of people that had that. Blocked it. The only really, like, well, okay. The only downside I've noticed so far, at least for me, is that I wanted to play this sword and shield build for open world PvP, so my survivability was very high. But I don't necessarily like tanking dungeons and PvE content. So it's... Oh, I wasn't paying attention. It's pretty difficult, from what I understand, to level multiple weapons. You can do it early on, but you can't do many. So that's something I'm definitely looking into, because I don't really want to tank dungeons and stuff. I'll learn how to do it, but... Yeah, if you really want to get good gear and have like an optimal build, that is what I've been hearing. Gearing up takes a while too, so you don't want to have multiple sets of gear. I don't know, I'll probably try everything anyway, though. There's only like 7 different weapons, so it might take a couple months to level them up. That's kind of the downside of the combat choices that they have. On the bright side, it does seem like everything is viable. You can kind of do whatever you want, and there will be a place for you in groups and stuff. This fight seems pretty easy. Out of mana, though. Easy when it's peaceful. These fights are crazy when they're conflict zones. First day I tried to do, I think it was the level 40 world boss during a conflict zone. And there were just as many people trying to kill other players as there were trying to kill the boss. It took the entire hour. It was fun, but not if you just want to go and get the boss. So you got to pay attention to when the zones are conflict and when they're not for certain things. Down he goes. Nice. There we go. I believe he was just added. Very chaotic. Yeah, and it flags you as a PvP player too, even if you don't want to be. You're auto PvP by being in the zone at that time. I'm trying to finish this off. Party here. Easiest way out. Teleport out. See where it puts me. Back in town. A bunch of greens while I was in there. Could be good. Find any traits that I want. Or with good hit. And a read. Okay, so I'll have to look through to see if there's any traits I want to keep. Okay, next on my list is to finish up that guild contract. I'm going to go back there and do that. But in the meantime, it is dinner time for my puppy dogs. I need to take a break, so I am going to cut off the stream here, go feed my dogs, and then I'll be back. I may put the stream back up later on when I'm done with that, but I don't want to keep everybody waiting and have you just staring at a chair stream here. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, all that stuff. Get notifications when we go live. We're going to be playing a lot of this game. We're really enjoying it. So tune back in if you're into that. We'll be here. See you guys. Thanks again.